Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is the Ramble. I'm Alex, and we go until midnight tonight here in the United States of America. And let me turn on my camera, and here I am. Oh, there we go. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. It's what, Thursday already? Okay, Thursday. So we're halfway through the cycle. Okay, well, in about an hour we'll be halfway through the cycle. Then we see you again tomorrow night, and then we're off for the weekend. Okay, so anyway, so this is Thursday, and because I didn't have any interview to run, we do what we do to make the audience suffer, ladies and gentlemen, and bring you our old friend. Yes, he. Let me see here if I can get him here. There we go. He's got to join in here. Let me see here. There we go. And there's Phil Meyer. Boy, you look like Trump.
Yeah. Am I a little orange?
Very orange.
Yeah.
There you go. That's better.
Yeah. I'm just trying.
And then your audio isn't working. Your audio sounds like it's coming from the other side of the room.
Yeah, it was coming from the other side of the room.
Well,
yeah, I don't know why the camera's kicking in and out. I turned up the saturation a little bit, but
why'd you turn up the saturation?
Yeah.
Why'd you turn up the saturation?
Because when I was looking at the camera, it looked like it needed it.
See, now you got too much saturation.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, okay, I'll get rid of.
Gee, you should have gotten this taken care of before we came on, for crying out loud.
But I did. It's just that it failed.
It failed. Okay, that's fine. That's good. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Well, how you feeling? I wanted you to know that I watched your posting of your friend Shecky's tribute, and I thought you did a yeoman's job. I think I might have mentioned it, that you had great energy, and yeah, I think it went over exactly as you wanted it to.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know, not often, isn't every day of the week I have to follow David Letterman.
Well, you know, you had mentioned, I think I'd heard a little bit of last night's show, and you had mentioned that David Letterman maybe didn't do such a great job.
It was kind of like he was mailing it in. He was phoning it in, you know?
Is there an inside joke about pay to him? Because he says, am I getting paid for this?
No, he thought that was a cute, fun way to end it, you know? Oh. I mean, that's up to him, you know?
Yeah.
Of course, that shows what happens when you don't have writers anymore. But, you know.
Yeah, well, all the writers were doing the tributes.
Yeah, well, I felt that the people that they got to talk, you know, just in those little clips and stuff, did a marvelous job. You know, I mean, and the editing of them and everything. I mean, I had, as I said yesterday, I had a lot of reservations about that day. I had an anxiety attack the night before, which doesn't usually happen to me, but I was expecting the worst. Okay.
Yeah.
And I did, and when it turned out as miraculously well as it did, I was delighted. Absolutely.
I thought you were well prepared. You know, you had let on a little bit about what you were going to do, and I think you carried it over, and it all worked.
Well, I had a lot of people have accused me in the past of not doing prep for my shows. Okay, and I said that's insane. I said I prep 24/7. You know. When I'm sitting around, I see something on TV and go, I got to mention that tomorrow, and I got to mention that tomorrow. And I don't, so that's why I don't come on with notes. You notice I didn't have any notes there or anything.
No,
And what I did is every night before I went, as I was going off to sleep, lying with my head on the pillow, I would come up with just, I would work it over in my head and work it over in my head. And each day it kind of revised itself and so on and so forth. So when I finally got up there, I was ready to do it. I just hoped that everything would land where I wanted it to land.
And it did. The time that I spent helping you out at Camel, yes, you didn't come in with notes, but you had in your mind exactly the different segments that you were going to do, and you could make it happen. Probably because you've been doing it for years. Back then it was probably 20 years, but it's a lot of time.
Albert, you always gave me a bad time saying that I didn't do prep for the show at Sirius XM, and Lynn Samuels used to give me a bad time. You never prep for your shows. And I said to him the other day, he said, that's the most you've ever prepped for anything. And I said, no, it isn't. I said, I prep that way all the time. I would get in my car when I was doing my shows in San Francisco and get in the car and go drive out into Marin, and in the back of Marin, in the woods and all of that. And while I was doing that, I would do pretend radio shows in my mind, so I would know what I wanted to say.
And that's where you'd stash the bodies.
Yeah, but that's my prep. That's my prep. Yeah. And that's why I never have notes. And people wonder, everybody else there were reading from notes, and as well they should. They're not professionals that way.
Think about this: your radio broadcasts oftentimes had to do with what you were doing out in your day or the night before.
Yeah.
And you were always doing stuff. When you worked for Camel, there was always something that you were doing afterwards. You were invited to this. You saw this. Oftentimes you included me in your little trek, and it was really interesting and fun.
But that's the way I always did radio. I mean, I never came in with people said, well, what are you gonna do tomorrow? And I said, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know till I get on the air. But my mind is constantly going all day long, and that's what happened here. I mean, every night I would lie there and I would say this, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do that. And a lot of the jokes that I used in it were things that I came up with as I was lying in bed,
Yeah.
Like when I talked about, Steve Weiner giving me to Shecky as a present, and then I said, the cheapest gift ever. But you don't know until you do it whether it's going to land right, and it landed right.
It worked, and I liked how you got the applause and you left the stage. And you left the stage to applause that was for your friend
Shecky. Although somebody did say to me, "Nice way to get applause, Alex."
That's exactly what I thought.
that wasn't the reason I did it.
I know that. I know. But it worked. So what? If it was a double-edged sword, and I mean, I had 3.5 minutes to do it in, and I think I did it in 3.5 minutes. I think I may have done it in less actually if I time it. Yeah. But that was, it was, and then meeting all the people that day who some of them I hadn't seen in years. A lot of his film friends that I knew through Shecky back in the day. All of a sudden, I got to see them again. After all these years, and and Leonard Maltin, who I only really met once in my life, but we knew of each other through Rick. I mean, Rick would talk about me to him, and he would talk to me about Maltin, I listened to most of his.
And then there was a guy there named David Pierce, who I did get to know quite well through Shecky, in that he is the head of film preservation.
Yes, for the archive.
For the National Archives. Prior to that, though, when I first met him, he was with the NSA and was kind of an agent, shall we say, for the NSA. and I hadn't seen him in quite a while, and it was good to see him. And then there was some other people I saw. Jerry Foley, who's the director of the Letterman Show, who I got to know through Shecky, and a lot of people like that I had known over the years. Oh, Bob Morton, who they call Morty, who used to be the producer of the Letterman Show, who I've known for years, and I haven't seen him in years. And then it was great to see him,
That this experience was, if you look at it, maybe it was another gift from your friend Rick Sheckman. That
Definitely.
This was an opportunity for you to, mingle amongst your peers again. Yeah. And really feel good about yourself, and I'm glad.
Well,
I'm glad.
I felt good about what I did. I certainly didn't feel bad about it. The only moment of fear that I had was when we were I was getting ready. I saw I was third on the bill, and so they started playing a video clip, what they call a video package, and so I walked up there getting ready to go on, and the woman who was running this said to me, "Oh, you don't. This goes on for about 12 minutes. Just go sit down and enjoy it, And then when you see Dave Letterman is the last thing on the clip." And I went back to the seat and I looked at Marjorie and I said, "I have to go on after Letterman."
Well, you did really good.
Well, to begin with, to say that I followed David Letterman is a very nice thing to say.
Yeah. I think so.
Let me turn on my air conditioning here just a little bit.
Is the air conditioning pulling in any air from outside?
Last night I had it on. It didn't seem to, because you could smell it. If you open the windows, we had the windows open in the apartment, and you could smell it in the house, and we closed all the windows,
Yeah, can you put it on recirculate the air conditioner?
Well, I don't know, it must be or something, because I never got the smell of the smoke in here.
That's good.
Okay. So, yeah, that was really something yesterday. That was scary.
Yeah, are the skies still orange?
Are the skies still orange? No, they are not orange.
Trump lifted his curse?
Oh, let me see here. Hold on a second. Let me see here if I still have it. Let me see here. My background. Yeah. Is it still there? Is it still there? No, it's there. It's gone. It's not gone. Not gone. Let me see if it's here. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Wow.
Tell me that is
apocalyptic.
Well, that was what I said. When I saw it, I said, "Boy, that's apocalyptic," and it was apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go back to my other one, but it was apocalyptic. It was scary.
No, absolutely. We in the West Coast during the fires.
The same thing happened to you out there. Yeah.
Right. Now it wasn't orange, although the sun.
But you didn't get it as bad as we did, because, and I'll tell you why.
Way.
Because they said yesterday that we were the most polluted place on the planet.
Well, you've had that ranking for a long time.
No, we never did. No.
New York was pretty polluted. L.A., New York.
L.A., had it for years, and so on and so forth. But they say it is the worst weather conditions in the history of listing weather conditions in New York.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I hope we don't all die from it. We'll have to wait and see.
The Chinese gave us COVID. Now the Canadians are giving us air pollution.
Yeah, right. And I got a nice little note from Jim Browning, who said it's not my fault.
Yeah. That's nice.
Don't blame us. Yeah.
Well, that's nice. It's been a while since.
Well, I've been in contact with him. I've written him occasionally, and just want to make sure he's okay, and everything's all right up there, So
he's a talented guy.
He's a very talented guy, and I wish he would do a show here again. I was sad when it left. I felt he was the most inventive person I had worked with in years, and it just didn't whatever happened, happened.
Yeah.
Who knows
Hey,
what it
water
was.
under the bridge, kind of like buying a Mac Studio with an M1 chip.
Yes, yes.
You know, you had to pry out of me which one I got. I didn't sit there and say, "Oh, I got one that was one step better than yours." You had to pry it out of me, and then on top of that, it's there's always something newer. There's always something.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're getting close to the time when they're going to announce the latest
I
version,
bought it a couple of months ago.
No, that was I told you at that time to wait because I knew that within a couple of
Right.
months the M2s would be coming out, and it's 50% faster in a lot of cases.
Well, I read an article that said that might be very delayed, if ever, or may not come out in the studio and may just come out in the Mac Pro. But
It's just we know that every year at this particular time they upgrade the Mac Studio. I know next year this time there'll be an M3 Mac Studio.
and next year at this time I'll still be as happy with this as I am now.
Well, I'm very happy with the one I've got. I've never had any remorse about it, and right now they've upped it this one to an M2 as well.
Yeah.
An M2 Max, I think it's called.
Right.
And it's really fast too. It's probably as fast as your machine now, because your machine is now faster. So it's,
Right.
But the thing is that if you wait long enough, Apple will make you have buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
And that's the one thing I haven't liked about Apple. It'd be nice if Apple said to you, "Oh, hey, you just bought that one? Hey, listen, there's a new one.
We'll upgrade it."
Here for a couple of bucks, you can upgrade to the other one. Just send the one you got in."
This is the problem. I have a program that has to see a catalog of pictures, and if it's on one computer, it won't see it on another computer without making those pictures all talk to one another. And so I went down to Monterey a couple of weeks ago, and my friend who wrote a book about Lightroom, and he's very, very knowledgeable with this stuff, took a full day and worked with me to convert everything over from the garbage can to this. Now, he was saying to me,
This is, by the way, this is of no interest to our audience.
No. There's a story behind this. He didn't feel good. So I told him, I said, "Why don't you get an EKG?" So, I'm just, not going to drink caffeinated coffee. And so he gets the EKG the next day. That next day, then they did an angiogram on him. He has 100% blockage in one of his arteries, but he had collaterals that grew around it. And so if I didn't get this work done then, now he's been in the hospital back and forth recuperating. After they did the angiogram, they didn't stent him because he didn't go to a special lab that could do multiple stents in a 100% blocked artery. And a lot of people in that artery, they call it the widowmaker. And if getting collateral arteries that grow around it is very rare. That's what I had, and that's why I didn't have a heart attack. But I didn't have enough blood flow to go out and do the scuba diving and stuff that I was doing. And so the same thing happened with him. And so if I would have waited for the new computer, he may not have been around to convert my pictures so that it will work. The timing was
but
right.
I don't know what the problem is converting the pictures, but all I'm saying is that you probably, you could put all your pictures in the regular photo library that Apple has as its own system. And
I use an Adobe program called Lightroom.
Well, I have Lightroom here too. I know what Lightroom is, but you don't have to use Lightroom. You can you can put all your stuff on what's it called? What's the name of the program?
Photo.
Yeah, photos, just photos.
Right.
I do all my stuff there, and of course, it shows up everywhere else.
And I converted my storage from the Drobo, which went bankrupt, to.
Of course, you bought it. It cost
and
you a lot of money.
well,
They're going to
5
go
years
bankrupt.
Yeah, well, it took 5 years for them to screw me, but
Yeah.
there's no support. You can't even download their.
That's
operating
terrible.
system.
That's terrible. You know, that's
Yeah.
really terrible. A company should leave you, not leave you stranded.
Well, they
They
went
could
chapter
say,
7.
well, they could say we're going chapter 7, but you know, in any event, we're not going to leave you stranded. Here's what you can do or not do in order to adapt it to something else, or here's somebody. I mean,
Yeah.
I have what is QNAP here?
Technology?
QNAP here. It's the same as a Drobo. It does exactly what a Drobo does. You know. And I don't think QNAP's ever going to go out of business. And if they do, they'll sell it to somebody else who'll keep producing it. You know, that's what
Well,
I'm saying.
you'd think that would happen to Drobo, but
No, Drobo's one of those off brands.
yeah,
Your QNAP to begin with is a Chinese company, and you know they're not going up belly up. Okay,
No,
they pretty well stay the way they are. But anyway,
talking about people that went belly up. Pat Robinson, dead at 93.
dead at 93. And wait a minute, hold on a second. Where is it? Do I still have it here? I thought I had it here, and I guess I don't.
People that
Oh,
died.
here we go. Here we go.
A lot of people say, what's that? It's Pat. Here comes Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our.
Here comes Pat.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we used to run Pat Robertson stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And boy, was he weird. But yeah, he's dead. He's gone.
Yeah.
But he was an old guy. He was 93 or something, 94.
I remember 10, 15 years ago, he pushed 1,000 pounds with his legs on one of those exercise machines where you sit down, you put your legs up against the plate, and he had 1,000 pounds of weight on it, and he moved it up. The guy was pretty amazing, but
He was also an asshole.
I don't know. I think he had some good things about him.
No, he was a guy who, under false pretenses, convinced people to give him money. That false pretense being, of course, that there's a God.
Pat Robinson? No, I
Pat
thought that
Robertson.
Was I thought that was the guy from North Carolina that was selling timeshares.
No, that you're thinking.
Yeah,
You-
no.
Pat Robertson had the
700
700 Club.
Right.
What's his name? Whose wife was Tammy Faye Baker, Jim Baker.
Yeah.
He had the PTL Club.
Right.
Robertson was one of the assholes involved in that whole plot to get the PTL's what do you call it? Transponders, satellite transponders, because they didn't invest in them, and he
I thought
did.
that was Swaggart.
No, Swaggart didn't have them.
Yeah.
They had to rent theirs from Jim Baker, and so did Falwell, and they all got together and decided that they were going to plot to get Baker. So then they released all this stuff, got all this stuff out in the wind about him doing this and doing that, and finally Falwell came to him and said, "Listen, turn over all the satellites to me, your satellites to me, and I will keep them in check while you solve these problems, and then when you're through, I'll give them back to you." Well, when he was through, he never gave them back to him. And Robertson was part of that group that was like, because they all coveted these transponders. So, you know.
Yeah.
was that?
Well, it sounds like
you're-
a similar deal to Trump's indictment.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a survey on Drudge that said, will Trump serve jail time? And at the moment, it's almost 58% no, 34% yes, and 8% not sure.
And who cares what the public thinks?
Well,
I mean, just because he's taking a poll doesn't mean that's the way it's going to turn out.
well, it wasn't Trump's poll. It was
No, it was Drudge's poll.
Drudge's poll.
He runs those polls, and you go, well, why? You know, to begin with, you can't begin to say whether he's going to be found guilty or not because you don't know what the charges are yet. and you don't
Yeah.
know what they have against him.
They're over the records, right?
But I mean, it's over the stuff that he stole from the government, from us,
Well,
from you and
that-
me. You know.
well, that's not his position on it.
Well,
and I
that's
guess
not his
you're innocent
position on it,
until
but his
proven
position is totally wrong. If he wanted to take those things out of the White House, there was a way in which you could take those out of the White House, but you had to go through the proper channels to do it. Okay, and he didn't. So,
Well,
you know.
let's see. Just how we doing?
but
on
anyway,
time?
we're all delighted here that finally he is going to be on Tuesday.
Yeah.
He's going to have to be arraigned in court in Miami
yeah.
on seven counts.
7 counts. 7 counts.
Yeah.
Well, just before the hour, CNN, 40% down on advertising, and I guess Licked.
Oh
is
yeah,
out.
oh yeah. I heard it was 25%.
Yeah, I just read 40.
Oh, no, I heard it was 25%.
And it was off a
No, I don't know
grudge.
if it was advertising. It was 25%. They lost 25% of their audience.
Oh, but their advertising revenue
Yeah.
went down 40%.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, blame that on Discovery. Don't blame that on Licked.
Well,
You know, Licked was hired by Discovery to go in there and cut costs. And so he went in there and he cut costs like crazy.
And I guess that Brian Stelter was making a lot of money.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But he went in there and he just started cutting costs, which
Yeah.
you know was interesting.
Well, they said that the old guard from the previous administration there is back in running the show. So it may go back to the way it was. Who knows? Maybe they'll.
No, it's not going to
rehire.
go back to the way it was. I mean, you've got Discovery running it, and Discovery doesn't know how to run a news channel. You know, what do they know about news channels? You know, they might know a little bit about running cooking shows, but that's about it. You know, and when it seems as though, well, what's happened is that ever since Discovery took over this entire thing. That's where I heard the revenues were down 25%. In the whole Discovery thing, the HBO, which became Max, and so on and so forth, their stock dropped 25% because
Okay.
of that. Yeah,
And you notice the stock market's been going up.
not that
and-
terrifically. No.
No, well, my Amazon stock has just doubled.
Doubled since when? Last week?
No, since I bought it.
Which was when? In 1870?
No, beginning of the year. It went up almost 40%.
God, I hate to see them do well. You know, it really bothers me because they treat their people terribly.
Yeah.
You know, I almost feel guilty about ordering from them, but where else am I going to go?
Well, you
You
know,
know?
people they don't have to take that job. You know, they can.
You can say that, but some people need a job desperately, so they have to take it. Okay?
Yeah. Well.
You know,
but
don't take
there's
that.
nothing wrong-
Look,
there's
look,
nothing wrong with
Phil,
it.
Phil, you have people that work for you. You have employees. You treat them well, I'm sure, because you know you want to be good to them. Amazon should be the same way. To say that, well, they don't have to take the job. The fact is that if you're going to hire people, you should treat them right.
Well, are they really not treating them right?
Oh, treating them horribly. They weren't able. You'd have to ask your supervisor if you could go take a pee, and if he said no, you'd have to do it in your pants.
What was
You
that
know,
company?
I mean,
in
it was
China
that bad.
people-
It was that
that
bad.
people. What was that company in China that people were jumping out of the windows? It was,
Foxconn.
Foxconn.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that Amazon is using the Foxconn model of employment?
Well, they've got their own model of employment, but you've got to do things in a certain amount of speed so they get the stuff out fast enough and blah, 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 blah. And, pregnant women were wanting to take breaks because, and they couldn't take them. I mean, I was just watching a thing tonight on it that John Oliver did, and it was terrible, just terrible.
Yeah, well, we're spoiled. We want our stuff in a day. I've ordered stuff and I've gotten it the same day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, I said, yeah, this is a company that I buy stuff from, and yeah, and I realized that there are always issues, you know, but
We only have one person waiting here, but let's bring them in. You know, this is Thursday night, so this may be it. You know.
I
Here
doubt
comes
it.
Brian Neary. Okay, we got him. Okay.
Dr. Josh,
Huh?
Dr. Josh, the
Dr.
night
Josh,
trooper.
yeah. And there's Brian Neary. Oh,
Uh-huh.
look at him. He got all kinds of shadows on you and everything. The sun is
Oh,
starting
the
to go.
Venetian blinds are open.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay. That's fine. Because by the time we're through here, it'll probably be dark in there. You know, so.
I don't know. You know, it's really sunny and daylight out,
Yeah.
and we've got clear skies. Unlike New Yorkers, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, so hi, Josh. Hello, Josh. Hello, Brian. Hello to Alan. And my question would be to all of you: how do you feel about the news today that our dear former president is going to be charged on what is it, Tuesday, 10 o'clock?
Right, you have the
Miami.
right to remain silent.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can make America great again.
yeah.
You can't.
By arresting them, yes.
It's
You're
by
right.
arresting him. Yeah, right. I think a lot of people are happy it finally happened because this has been going on for such a long time. What were they waiting for? But I think that this guy, what's his name? I can't remember his name now, who was doing the special.
Smith.
Huh?
Smith.
Smith, yeah. Who was doing the special thing on him. I think was waiting till he had everything he needed to convict him. He didn't want to just do it willy-nilly. And he must have a real case against him because he could have filed it in Washington, D.C., but he didn't. He filed it in Miami. And in Miami, you've got if you hold the trial down there, you've got a very conservative crew down there, okay? So they must feel they have a very strong case.
Dade County is Democratic.
Is it? Is it really?
Yeah, yeah. Dade County is very blue.
I haven't heard that.
It is. I lived there. you
Well,
know.
anyway, I'm sure he would not have done a charge against Trump unless he felt he had enough to do it with, because you don't want to do this and not have it, at least have a decent case to be made.
I don't think that they're really worried about convicting him. I think what they're trying to do is weaken his position where he's as running for
No,
president.
I don't think.
I disagree.
I disagree too. I don't think that is the motivation at all. I think, in fact, Smith is probably such a decent person that he wanted to make sure that nobody could say that.
Smith is a Republican.
You know, I mean, the only person that brought this on themselves is Trump himself. You know, Trump can't complain about this. He did something wrong. He wouldn't admit to it. You know, so here's what he's going to have to pay. Oh, forget that. He's going to have to pay the price. What do you think, Josh? You know.
Oh, hey, Josh.
Well, I had.
Maybe turn your mic down, will you, a little bit, Josh? Because it
Might be on automatic.
huh?
He might have it on automatic so that the
If it
first
were
time-
on automatic, it might not be that loud.
Oh, really?
Any better here?
No, that's really loud.
If you can, there's something called what is it? Auto sound. You just unclick it so the box isn't.
Don't
clicked.
listen to Phil. He doesn't know anything.
You know how to get to your settings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, just keep talking. I'll work on it for you.
Go to audio, and then What do you think, Brian?
I think it's good. I mean, yeah, it's always that, these games keep going on, and then we keep getting a little bit further and a little bit further. So I guess we'll see. So.
Well, it's nice that he's that this is finally. I'm happy that it's finally happened, because I do think that we live in a country where no one should be, above the law.
Mhm.
And if you've done something, you should have to answer for it. and he's going to have his day in court. You know, I mean, we're not going to sit here and try him on this program, but I will say, if everything we've heard so far, which has been general knowledge, is true, I think they've got a good case against him, because you just don't do what he did. You know, to say that I can declassify documents at will, you know, just by genie binking my eyes, you know.
But the Clinton email server,
no, forget about that. Forget about that.
Why should I forget about that?
Forget about. I'll tell you why you should forget about it, because that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about this case. We're not talking about what happened with Clinton.
Don't pull that talk show stuff on me.
No, I'm not pulling talk show stuff on you. You're trying to change the discussion by moving it from there over to Clinton.
Okay, what you said was that nobody's above the law, and I'm saying that not only Clinton, not only Biden had plenty of classified stuff in his garage next to the Corvette, with people walking in and out, and
what did he do as soon as they found out he had it?
Well, they turned it over.
Oh, and what did Trump do when they found out he had it?
He was negotiating.
No, he was, and then when he turned it over, he didn't turn it all over. There was still stuff there. It wasn't negotiated. You know, all I'm saying is, in the case of Clinton and Biden, they immediately, hey, we got stuff. Hey, here. You know, sorry, we didn't mean to take it.
In the case of Clinton, Comey said that there was wrongdoing.
Okay, and what happened after
he chose not to prosecute?
He chose not to prosecute after first putting the whole thing on hold and saying he was still thinking about what he was going to do with her, and he did that so in advance, close to the election, that it did hurt her chances. Okay, in the election. Wait a minute. So she was held to account, and the FBI looked at it, Comey looked at it, and said, there's nothing here. Okay? So don't bring that up, because he said she was absolved of that by Comey.
She wasn't absolved. He just said that he chose not to prosecute.
He said there was nothing there to prosecute.
No, he said that she
Do you remember it, Josh?
Yeah, is this audio any better?
No. It's just really loud.
Did you hang up and call you back?
Yeah, hang up and call back. Maybe that'll do it.
Yeah, I don't know where that setting is, or whether
the setting is. It's when you go up to that green shield up at the top of your screen, and then you get all the settings and stuff. There's an audio setting, and then you can set it there. You can bring it up or bring it down. You know, but boy, he was overmodulating. No, but all I'm saying is that, you know, that in the case of Trump, one of the charges is what is it? Obstruction of justice. You know, not sedition. No.
I thought he was charged under the Sedition Act or something.
There was some. I read a bunch of things they said, but then when I saw the list of things he was being charged with, it doesn't seem to be.
He was charged under espionage and conspiracy. And we're talking about Trump still today.
Is it espionage?
Espionage and conspiracy.
That's a horrible thing to level at an ex-president, is espionage.
Yeah, I hope they incarcerate him and no bail.
I don't think he's ever going to be incarcerated. Ankle bracelets are not off the table, but you know.
Now I had a bet with one of your callers that he said that Trump would be Trump would be arrested, and I said he wouldn't. And I don't remember, how much. It might have been $5, might have been $100. John Larkin.
John Larkin.
Yeah, and we haven't heard from him.
I wish he'd call, because he's the guy that got me in trouble with YouTube. YouTube, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard him.
Yeah, everybody said that must have been something that Phil said, and it wasn't. It was something Larkin said. What he was doing is he was referring, and they wouldn't listen to me, Yeah. But they were referring to. He was talking about how Fox was giving out wrong information on COVID, and he was saying what they said. And then we discussed how terrible that was and that how could they be that way. But they didn't listen to the full context of it. They just heard that statement, or their algorithms singled out that statement. And then they went back and had a live human being listen to it, and it was still only that, but not what went on before it or after it. I'm not saying Larkin got me in trouble. Well, he's the reason I got in trouble. But it makes me mad that I have no recourse to tell, well, let me have some recourse right now. YouTube, go fuck yourself.
How's it feel to be censored? You know, they've been doing that to the right wing for a long time.
It's not censorship. Well, it is censorship. They took it off. You know, they did away with it. They did away with that.
And they
episode.
Admonished you, and they said that if you do it again, your ass is grass.
Oh, no, if it happens again, I will then have a strike against me. Right now, it's just a warning. And it just pisses me off because I didn't do anything wrong. If you remember me, if anybody on the internet was talking about COVID and how you could prevent yourself from getting it, and don't do this and don't do that, and then admonishing anybody who would give unsubstantiated evidence, now I won't even talk about COVID, because I'm afraid they'll take me out of context again.
Well, if you look at the traffic out there, COVID is over. The pandemic is over. The traffic is now worse than it was prior to the pandemic.
Yeah, well, people are a little too loosey-goosey about the pandemic, being over. I mean, that's...
You're a spreader again,
Well, I mean, that's... how did I get it? Probably because we're just taking it too loosey-goosey. But then again, Marjorie... let's not get into that again.
Yeah. But, hey, since I got the new computer, I don't have all the backgrounds I used to have. Somebody's going to have to send me Tony's wallpaper.
Don't send him anything.
You want? I send you a swatch.
How are you doing now, Josh? You better? Now there's no microphone.
Yeah, turn it up a little.
Can
you hear me at all?
Oh, now we can hear you a little bit. Yeah, talk to us.
All right, I can turn it up a little bit.
A little bit more, and then a little bit more.
Okay, this is about where it was to begin with, so that better?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, what do you think about the whole Trump thing today?
Well, I mean, his case, even, to go back what you were talking about with the Clinton thing or whatever, I mean, first of all, that's so old and over with that it doesn't matter anyway. If I'm stopped for going 80 in a 55, and I try to say, well, what about that other guy that was going 80 and you didn't stop him? I mean, that's not going to work. So it's irrelevant anyway. His case is his case. If you're worried about the other cases, that's fine. There is a special prosecutor, investigator in those cases. Those cases are not over. So if something comes out of those cases, if they come out next week and they say, we have evidence here that the sitting president did the same exact thing and he committed a crime and we're going to indict him, then I'll say, there you go, he's indicted. And now he has to face the consequences of what he did. I'm not going to defend that.
Yeah.
Trump's deal is probably, it's well-deserved. I think it's clear that he broke the law. I think it's clear that he knew that he was breaking the law when he broke it, and that he was told multiple times that he did, and I think it's going to catch up to him.
Well, I would argue with you that he necessarily knew he was doing something wrong, in that he has such an ego, he probably thought if he just, as I say, genie binked these documents to be non-classified, I'm sorry, that's, if he believed that, then he is one of the stupidest presidents we've ever had.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's his own problem, and that's certainly not a defense, right? I mean, you can say, I believe that I was entitled to that tax deduction when I took it, and it doesn't matter. You still owe us the money.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's not much defense for the particular case that he's in, because, the documents were in possession, and there is a paper trail back and forth of trying to get them, and it's clear, you can't dispute that. and then they have evidence, which I'm sure is going to be where their obstruction charge comes from, if there's one in there, and I heard that there was, that after all of that, that he tried to mislead the investigators and hide the evidence, which is obstruction. It's not just as simple as saying, "Oh, you're right. We forgot about that stuff, and here's your boxes."
All you'd have to do is say, "Hey, we didn't mean to take this stuff." It somehow, when everything was moved out of the White House, it came with the stuff. Here, take it back.
Yeah,
But no,
which,
that's
by the
not
way,
what
is
that's
why-
not what he did.
Can I ask this, Josh?
Turn down your microphone a little bit, will you?
Me?
Yeah, Phil.
Okay, I'll back off on. Josh, there was some deal over Trump's pool leaking into the room that supposedly.
Well, that's a little hanky panky.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Josh knows anything about that.
Turn your mic down just a little bit more, Phil, just because I'm trying to balance you against everybody else.
All right. Is that better?
Yeah, a little better.
It's time for a new computer, Phil.
Yeah. Well, the new one's so powerful.
It's like that.
Yeah, but
I'm trying to flip it.
what happened? What were you saying? What were we talking
Oh,
about?
the pool flooding the room.
Oh yeah, that pool flooding. Supposedly, what happened was some of the workers flooded the pool over or something. Too much water coming over, and it spilled into some of the boxes with the documents in them.
I wonder if it's above ground. You think it's from Harris? He's got above ground pool cheapy.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that was him probably trying to get rid of the evidence.
Yeah, he's probably damaging it. It's got all chlorine on it. You can't see this.
Huh?
You can see it.
Was that the obstruction?
No, that's not the obstruction. The obstruction is that he kept moving those boxes and not letting the government find out where they
I'm
were.
sure that the obstruction is, from what I've heard, is the multiple times that people are on camera moving them and then putting them back when searches would take place. They would take them out, and when the search was over, and hide them, and then they would put them back. And someone can say, well, those people were acting independently. They probably weren't on the orders of Trump. Okay, but they must have some evidence that they were, because I heard that one of the indictments was a conspiracy charge.
Well, he at one time
cooperation among people.
He at one time told they have the recording of him telling somebody that he knew he had these things.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a good. He hasn't got.
You cannot blame law enforcement, the Justice Department, or anybody for any of this. All of this was avoidable 100% by simply just saying, "Oh, yeah, we didn't know that was over there, and here you go." Which, like I said, by the way, is exactly what Vice President Pence did, and exactly what former Vice President Biden did. They said, "Oh, okay, you're right," and here they are. Now, I will say, and I said this in the beginning, for Pence and especially for Biden, what they did was reckless, what they did was stupid, and they need to clean up the mess of some of these people that have not handled these type of documents very well. I think they all need to be admonished completely, and it needs to be a wake-up call for all of them, and this shit has to stop, because it has stopped. I'm fine with admonishing Hillary Clinton. I'm fine with admonishing Joe Biden. I'm fine with kind of dragging their knuckles across the concrete on it a little bit, because I don't like it at all. But their actions are a far cry from the obvious criminal actions of Trump. I mean, they just are. So, I mean, he's well on his way to, with this and with other things, facing some real heat. I mean, it's on him. I just don't understand why people cannot understand that two things can be true at one time. You're allowed to like him and then say, but I was wrong to have done so because he is not the person that I thought that he was. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I mean, there are people that I've liked or respected in the past, and they turned out to be people that, I didn't think they were.
And so you say to yourself, I have second thoughts about this person.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been a golf fan my entire life, and I've loved Phil Mickelson, and, he said some things about how much money he had to pay in taxes a few times. And I sort of said, well, fuck you. I mean,
Yeah.
when a 100 millionaire cries about, he might have to move out of California because they're bleeding him dry. I mean, woe is me.
There's a very
diminished the way I felt about it.
There's a very interesting documentary that Marjorie and I watched. It's 3 episodes, 3 hours long, called Arnold, and it's about Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's about him telling his story, and it's it's really fascinating. You really come away having a great more appreciation of this guy than you ever had before. And it's not a fluff piece, because then they get to the part where he was running for governor, and about 20 different women came forward and said he groped me, he did this, he did that. And this was all when 20 years earlier, when he was doing movies and he was still doing his bodybuilding and so on and so forth. How do you think he reacted to that when he was running for governor and that came up? What he did was he simply said, I don't deny any of it. Most of what they're accusing me of is absolutely true. That was 20 years ago. I was younger, I was foolish, and I was inappropriate. And it was inappropriate behavior on my part. And that killed it. It knocked it off at the knees. That's something that Trump is incapable of. If he just once would say, I took these things home and I didn't know it was wrong to take them home, but if the government wants them, here they are, he would have just cut this whole thing off at the knees, but he didn't. He felt he could get away with anything, is what he felt.
Do you think this indictment is going to rally his base and not only
he's trying
more money?
He's trying to use it for fundraising, because already he's sent out a fundraising thing saying, I need money for my legal defense. Well, wait a minute, aren't you a reported billionaire?
Well, it's tough to fight the government.
No,
even if you're
apparently he doesn't have the kind of money he has.
The government can print all the money they want.
No, but what were you going to say?
You check your emails already, Phil?
Brian, your microphone. Your microphone is really loud.
I hate to admit this, but I have blocked the word Trump. So because I'm tired of all the emails and I'm tired of all the things. Plus, I'm probably not going to vote for Trump if he runs. I would vote for him if he's the nominee.
He is running.
No, but if he was the nominee, yes, I would vote for him.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still going to be primaries, and Phil can vote in the primaries.
If he doesn't end up being the nominee, and if there are other people to choose to be the nominee, I'm probably going to vote for someone else.
Brian, talk to me now. Let's see if you...
Is that better?
That's much better. Yeah.
Okay, I turn it down a little bit. Yeah, Phil, he hasn't sent you anything though, huh?
He might have, but it got blocked. Let me look. And
let me ask you. You're the Republican in this crowd.
Yeah.
Although who knows what Tony is today, but you're the Republican in this crowd. Of all the people that are running right now, who would you send your money to?
I know how I would.
Right now, probably DeSantis.
DeSantis, of course.
Now, if I were a Republican, which I am not, I'll tell you who I'd send money to.
Oh yeah, you like Christie.
He gave a good thing today.
Yeah, Chris Christie.
You have a short memory. Christie's basically a rhino. He's like the guy from Utah.
Well, it's nice to call somebody something, but the fact is you could also say he's a true conservative.
I don't think he is.
Because, tell me, what are Trump's politics? If you had to say he's this or he's that, what is he?
I don't know what his politics are. I only know
Neither does he.
Did. Yes, but I do know that he appointed 3 Supreme Court justices that I am very happy that he did.
Oh, really?
I know that he had appointed hundreds of judges that have changed the Ninth Circuit. Do
you agree with shutting down abortion in this country?
Well, he didn't shut down.
No, but that's what his loading of the court did.
No, they gave it to the states so that people could be better represented.
And the states are running roughshod over this. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, are you against abortion?
I supported abortion when it was totally legal. I feel that if the mother, if the life is in jeopardy, and rape and incest, yes, in those cases I support abortion.
Josh, do you feel comfortable with any law where if you're in one state it's against the law, but if you're in another state it is the law? It isn't against the law? Because I feel very uncomfortable with that.
I'm not particularly fond of that when it comes to most things. I mean, I would only think that of very minor little things, you know, your car registration or something, you know. But when it comes to everyday acts of personal freedom, things like that, no, I'm not fond of, you know, having one state where it's a complete ban on something and another where it's you know, wide open. I mean, states are within their rights. I'm not saying that stuff is illegal. I'm saying, you know, you asked me my personal preference, and I would prefer that, you know, we had some uniformity so that you could truly live anywhere you wanted in this country. Have to worry about upending or making major changes to your life in order to do so.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think especially when it comes to somebody's health, right?
Yeah.
Because then you know they're just going to
turn your microphone down a little bit more.
Me?
For some reason, I don't know what it is tonight. I think it's because Josh's mic now is so low that when I accommodate for it, everybody else's comes in too hot.
How's that?
So yeah, that's better. If you could turn yours up just a little bit, Josh, it'd be appreciated. Yeah.
Yes, I'm just saying. And then when it comes to health issues or something like this, where people are going to just skip states to get it done or get it done illegally or something, then I think it's even worse.
Yeah, well, it's just that you know, it just I mean, when we had prohibition, of course, in every state of the union, prohibition was the order of the day. But you know, I mean, I just think that, I don't know, it's pretty terrible. But what Trump did by putting these justices in there is he loaded the court with a court that would get rid of Roe v. Wade, and that's it. You know. He also put judges in that ruled on the Bruin decision, which supported the Second Amendment, and Clarence Thomas. That wonderful legal eagle, but Clarence Thomas. It was Clarence Thomas and his support of the Bruin decision that gave people back their Second Amendment rights in most states. But Second Amendment rights to do what? To have a weapon. To have a weapon. They always had the right to have a weapon. There's always been a Second Amendment. But you see, states like California used a different way of looking at the law. Because to begin with, you had an amendment which was so, what could we call it? It was so, it didn't, I'm trying to look for the word that I'm trying to look for. What am I trying to say, Josh? It was literally, the Second Amendment is so kind of vague, you know, that it can be interpreted.
Certainly ambiguity in there, and it's you know.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. The Bruin decision said that it had to be based on tradition and. What had to be based on tradition? That's what Bruin said. And they were using a different, for instance, California was using a different method of looking at these cases to restrict people's right to buy and own weapons and so forth. So Bruin changed that, and that's why concealed weapons permits are being allowed in California and many. Are you for the 29th Amendment? You mean that's your friend Mr. Newsom? Yeah, if the 29th Amendment was to get rid of Gavin Newsom, I would be for it. But unfortunately, Gavin Newsom has no chance of. Well, he isn't doing it. There are people in Congress who are doing it. He suggested. Yes, he suggested it. Yeah. That it be a new law that What is it going to prohibit?
I think it was to repeal the Second Amendment.
No, not to repeal the Second Amendment. It's to put a little more.
The end result.
No, to put more restrictions on gun ownership, which I think there should be. You know, I don't think that. I think that. I mean, how many more kids have to be killed in schools? How many more people have to be eliminated in mass shootings before we say, hey, maybe the Second Amendment has got some problems?
How many more people have to blame the inanimate object rather than...
We're not blaming the inanimate object. We're blaming the fact that people can lay their hands on that inanimate object, Phil.
That's an interesting thing. In Chicago...
Oh, here we go again.
They have the most amount of... wait a minute. In Chicago, they have the most amount of gun killings and so forth, and they blame it on the fact...
Yeah, not that again.
Yeah, they blame it on the fact that the guns are coming in from out of state, where these people have loose gun laws. So how come out of state they don't have all the problems that Chicago has? Think about it. You look at Chicago; they have hundreds of shootings, and everybody's up in arms.
You know what it is? It's those damn blacks. That's what it is.
Let's look at what state has the most liberal gun laws. The biggest state, Texas, and they have the most shootings too.
Yeah, the most mass shootings this year have taken place in Texas.
And California has some of the most restrictive gun laws, and they have just as many.
No,
not just as many. No, Phil, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. No. I mean, in fact, isn't Texas number one in
Texas is number one,
and isn't number two Florida?
I think so.
Yeah. Phil's looking it up now.
Oh no! I was just checking my email, but it wasn't from Trump. I guess I could go into junk and see if there's Trump stuff today. So where would it go?
Well, certainly, if he wanted to get money out of anybody, it's you.
Yeah. No, that's. I'm looking for junk. Yeah, I guess it would be here. I have 1,081. Well, it's the secret of Viagra.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch of junk, but I don't see any.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking for that, Kevin, any thoughts on any of this? I mean, when you heard you heard tonight about Trump.
I did not. I haven't seen the news all day.
They've announced
preparing for graduation all day. So
it's been announced that he has to show up Tuesday at 10 p.m. in court in Miami to be charged with 7 counts.
He's been indicted.
Huh?
Does he need a ride? I'll stop by and give him a ride.
There you go.
Give him a ride.
This isn't Trump, but there's a thing called Orgasm Spot on Squirting School #1 Secret to the G Spot.
Okay, well we know what we know what you click on your computer. The algorithms have you by the balls.
Yeah, it's in junk. No, I went back to about 10:30 this morning, and
well, you don't worry, you'll be getting something in that junk mail.
I'm sure.
How about you, Tony? How do you feel about it?
How do I follow his emails?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I guess I gotta let it play out. I mean, I think in 2 years, I just don't think his health is gonna stand up, Trump, because he's gonna be coming under so much scrutiny. And I think with Christie running and Pence, it's gonna make for an interesting debate because Pence was his right-hand man. So
well, they were all hoping for this to happen, what happened today, because this makes their candidacy a little more effective. Okay.
Over half the country was hoping
for this.
But
the problem with it is that there are so many people running. I think it's something like 13 of them or something like that are running against Trump for the nomination, that they may all negate each other and still put Trump in even if he loses half his people, he's still going to be far ahead of anybody else.
Alex, during the Democratic 2000 2020. How many Democrats were on the platform? I think there were 19.
Really? That many?
Yeah, I think so.
There were quite a few.
Yeah, I think there were 19. You know, I remember.
Well, it was interesting. The way Schwarzenegger became governor of California was they recalled Gray Davis. They had a recall election, but part of that recall election was if he gets recalled, who would you vote for? Okay, so it was all an election and a recall at the same time, and Schwarzenegger was part of a field of, I think, 45 candidates. So all he had to do was get like 2% of the vote, and he would have been governor. Yes, Alan.
So, excuse me, going back to DeSantis for a minute, Disney announced in the business news that they are going to that they're going to file all kinds of charges against him. And they're going to try and run him out of becoming president. And they've even got George W. Bush in his Lincoln Project, which helped stop Trump from winning re-election in 2020, on board with Disney. I think DeSantis is screwed with.
Well, I think that DeSantis made a big mistake by picking on the mouse. You know,
absolutely.
To begin with, I mean, the amount of money that Disney brings into that state is extraordinary. Okay,
one of the largest multimedia companies in the world.
Well, it's the largest employer in the state of Florida. I think the state
private employer, yes.
Private employer in the state, and a lot of people are very mad because what Disney was going to do was they were going to make their home office basically Florida. That's what that $1 billion project was they were going to build.
Another park they were going to open.
No, it's not another park. It was literally their home office. There was going to be their world headquarters. And now they're not going to do it.
Nope.
So, I mean, think of how much is that going to cost the state of Florida and people who want to be employed. What?
Let them stay in California where they got to pay 10, 12% state income.
They're not in California, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll put another park in Florida called Woke World.
Woke World. Woke World.
You know why? You know who really split the vote on the Schwarzenegger election?
Oh, Jesus. Let's talk about
Gary Coleman. Because Gary Coleman was also running.
But he didn't come in second.
No, but
I think the porno actress came in second, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Mary Carey.
Mary Carey, yeah.
Not that I know any porn. I just remember that.
Your junk mail, Brian.
By the way, if you do want to watch a fascinating documentary, Netflix, Arnold, the documentary is.
I watched that. Did he was talking about when he was a child? And, growing up. And,
yeah.
I watched that. It was very interesting.
Yeah, and he it's amazing how likable he is. He is a conservative, but he's not. You know, he can go either way. He votes. He is on the side of what he feels is right, and not what somebody tells him he has to be on the side of because he's a conservative.
Yep.
You know, and he's a true conservative. I mean, there's no question about it. But he's the kind of conservative you can really like and appreciate.
Now, you were saying Christie. Now, I know that he wasn't prosecuted on that Bridgegate thing, but you know, he got a bunch of bad press on that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that he has this personality where he wants to retaliate against people that don't go?
Do you know anybody else like that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say somebody just got indicted today that's like that, huh?
Actually, I think Christie has softened in a lot of ways in the last couple of years after that situation.
I think Nikki Haley's the best looking.
Nikki Haley?
I don't know. She doesn't give me a stiffy.
No, well, she doesn't give me a stiffy either, but she's the best looking out of all the candidates. Wait a
minute. You're being sexist. She's the only woman out of all the candidates.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, well, I'm not interested in sleeping with the guys, so if I had to sleep with a Republican right now, she might be it.
Really? Okay. You know, I she's just not my idea of a good time. You know. But
you guys could argue during sex.
What else is happening in the news? I'm trying to remember here. There's some other stuff happening. Of course, when you get back to DeSantis, also California is thinking of charging DeSantis with kidnapping.
Yes.
All those
And
people.
so is New York,
Yes.
because these were the two places where he sent planes with people on them. The one that went to California, they had all the people who went sign a release saying they were going of their own volition, and they signed it. Of course, they couldn't speak English, so how could they read it? But they signed it.
Would they know the difference between California and New York?
Well, no. What happens is, if I'm not mistaken, correct me, Josh, if I'm wrong about this. Even though you signed something like that, if you were fraudulently led to sign it, it doesn't stick. If you were told, hey, we're sending you to California so you can have jobs, and then you get there and there are no jobs, but to go there, you had to sign this release, it doesn't hold,
They're not allowed to work anyway.
Huh?
They don't have green cards. They're not allowed. They don't have a visa.
Obviously.
They allow them to work in Central California, Phil. I don't see you out there picking lettuce.
I see you eating it, but I don't see you picking it.
Yeah.
But
Great.
Thing that was signed was
Jeff, how do you feel about it? Are you happy to see Trump get stuck
I'm
to?
looking forward to on Tuesday to see how bad it could be.
I love seeing him show up and get are they going to handcuff him?
See, that would be
You're going to end up with a mugshot.
Because they didn't handcuff him here in New York, where if any of us were going through what he went through in New York, they would have handcuffed us.
I want to see the mugshot of him.
The mug shot? Oh,
Yeah. I don't think they took a mugshot of him in New York, did they?
I got it right here.
You got one?
Yeah. There it is.
You'll pay for anything, won't you? It's a nice frame.
How much did
You
that?
got to get rid of the idiot in there.
How much did that cost you, Phil? And how do you know he signed it?
Did he sign
Well, I'm sure it was signed by a computer, but it was $35.
it? That's not much.
$35.
No, that the frame's worth that.
No, the frame I had.
You went out and bought a frame for that piece of
It's a
crap?
$1 frame, one of those plastic,
Oh, okay.
I got it in the 99-cent dollar stores. I used to go for
Yeah, but when you get a
You
get a certificate of congratulations.
Read to us what it says, Phil.
He probably sends that to all us.
Hey, Tony, can you have that? Can you have that graded for him?
Yeah, graded for him.
It's just
Is there, are there
Wait a minute,
negative
hold on a
numbers
second.
in
I want to hear what it says. What?
It says, Phil Meyer, thank you for your support. Together, we will keep America great. Best wishes, Donald Trump. Donald J. Trump.
Donald J. Trump. And
Does
was
they know you do carpeting? Is that how you're going to help make America great again?
Well, yeah, I spread nylon one floor at a time.
At least they put your name on it.
Yeah.
I thought they probably have a big stamper and they put Phil.
He's a really good businessman. He knows how to take care of the customer. If more businesses were like him, there'd be more happy people in the world.
Yeah.
Tony, can you grade stuff negative numbers?
I don't know if they could authenticate a signature, but CBCS does.
When you grade comic books,
yeah,
let me ask you this: do you have some kind of a, I don't know, paper or something that says that you are licensed to grade them, or do you just grade them and they,
Yeah, I kind of grade them myself before I send them into the grading house, so I get an idea of how they grade. So after a while, I get an assessment of like what they look at for a defect. So I'm pretty much around what they would. If I think it'd be a 9.0, maybe I'd be off a grade or above. So I'm a little more stricter, I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, do you have to have some kind of thing that makes it official that you can
No,
grade?
they make it official. I can actually grade a book on my own and have an idea of what before I would send it in to put money into it. I would try to say, well, which are the best old books I want to grade first to put money into it. So I'd look over a bunch of books I was working on.
All you're doing is assessing.
I'm assessing it myself, yeah, and say, let's put these up for, if they're key
And
books.
then you send it in somewhere where they're graded. In case people don't know what we're talking about when we say grading, this is a system by which they figure out how much a comic book is worth. Okay, and the highest grade is a 10, but I don't think anybody ever gets that, right?
Condition, I guess, right?
It would
kind of like coin
There's
grading.
nothing wrong with it, yeah.
Kind
That's
of like is it like coin grading?
well, they do coins. It's similar to coins. I never.
It's based on condition. I don't think it's based on the worth of the comic book. I mean,
No, they're really supposed to take the worth out of it. But you know what they do, Alex? And I had a complaint to one of the, well, not a complaint. When I was talking to one of the guys at CGC. What they do is, say if I send a Batman book from the 50s, do you know they'll charge me more to grade that book? Say if it cost me $40 for a regular grade from 1958, they'll charge me more. I says, why are you charging? You're just grading the book because monetarily it's worth more. But aren't you supposed to be impartial? I mean, you know what I'm saying? He says, well, we charge more for certain books.
But they don't really grade it based upon the fact that, oh, this is a very rare Spider-Man or whatever.
They will do a number one, and they would charge you more for certain. That's why I was complaining to the guy. You really should have a flat rate.
Because what I'm questioning here is what you're really grading is the condition of
I'm
the
grading
object.
condition. If there's any restoration, I'm looking at inside. I can put that under ultra light. I told Chuck I used to be able to take a blue. You take a blue light and you turn the light off and you go over the cover. And if there's anything that's like an ink spot on it, you'll see it right away. It'll pop up.
Or spermatozoa stains, things like that.
The little peanut butter thing. Oh, look, there's peanut butter on Batman.
You notice how I cleaned that up, Brian, because I noticed who was in the background?
Oh, yeah, you did that.
Yeah. Hey, Tony,
I enjoy doing that, though.
Tony sent me
She's in her own world right now.
What's it?
Tony sent me a Trump comic.
I did.
It turns out it's worth $200 now.
Minimum $200, Phil. You could sell that raw and you get at least 150 easy.
You sent me fucking 50-cent comic books. The postage was more than the damn comic books.
But Alan,
I sent you a teddy bear to get well.
Yeah, Alan is he has a big heart. I have to say that. At the time, Alan, of course, it wasn't really worth 150. But then I said, "Wow, it's really expensive. It's a ripoff of Jack Kirby's #1." That's why.
You asked me if I like Spider-Man. I thought you were going to send me something from the 50s. No, I'm just.
Well, he didn't come out
of spiders.
I'm just teasing it, Tony. I appreciated it. That was nice of you to send me.
You see, that was Alex. I have to say, Alan is a decent guy. You know, I got emotional when you sent me that teddy bear. I told that to Phil. I actually did, but then that's just me.
You got emotional over a teddy bear he sent you?
I was going for that stupid. I opened it up. And I know what it was. I said, "Oh my God, what are you getting all emotional about?" Somebody sent me a teddy bear. That was nice. She says, "You're like your mother."
It says "Get well" on it. Get
it
well.
Did. I have it on top of my shelf. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah. Okay. I guess I was getting caught up in the whole thing. So.
If you'd get sick longer than a day, Alex, I'd send you one.
I was sick for like 4 days this month.
Okay, I'll send you one next time. Let us know.
Tony started buying the same coffee that I drink.
Yes, hold on. I want to get the bottle.
No, really?
Yeah,
that's awfully.
Oh no, now
Murder Out by Black Rifle. This is the strongest stuff ever.
So Phil I send him some weak stuff. And Phil sends him strong stuff.
I didn't send it to him. He said, "What do you drink?" And I told him, and he went and bought some. And you know,
what a loser you are to tell him that. After watching the way he looks like he's high on speed.
Well, now you know why.
Yeah, you don't want. He just went off to show us the coffee he's got, and he'll come back jittering it towards the camera like this.
Yeah, I don't even take decaf anymore.
Huh?
I don't take decaf coffee anymore.
Why not?
I don't know. My cardiologist.
You know, I drink. Well, I have some coffee here, but I just do a little bit of it. You know, not much, just enough to perk me up.
I don't want to run an ad, but I was like his Dockland in LA. Alex, it's a good coffee. I didn't think it'd be good. I actually enjoy it.
What's the other brand? Ho?
It's like Phil, Alex. I opened up Black Rifle. Everything has a threat of violence on it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And Murder Out. I mean, Yeah.
Murder out. Oh.
I was like, everything with him has to be like powerful.
Well, what was the coffee that we were drinking for a while? Grim Death or something like that?
Everything's gotta have like someone you're on the
Death Wish. Death Wish
Yeah,
coffee.
this is better than
Charles
Death
Bronson.
Wish.
Yeah.
This is much better than Death Wish.
It's
Death
good coffee, though. I have to say that.
So now here's my big question for Josh. If they indict him on Tuesday, will he be convicted by Friday? I mean, how long is it going to take?
By Friday. You know, the cooperation with the trial that he's going to have in New York, because I'm sure, I mean, they're definitely going to do it probably within, 6, 8 months, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also about the time that he's got the other one scheduled, right? When was it scheduled?
Well, are they all going to get together and say, listen, you get him on Monday and Tuesdays, we get him on Thursdays and Fridays?
They'll have to
Oh, wait a
figure
minute.
something
That's
out.
right in the middle of, the primaries.
Well, that's his problem.
Yeah.
They'll have to figure something out with that. How long? I think I don't remember if the federal government does trials pretty quickly or not. I mean, maybe they would do it before that. Especially if he requests.
Well, you've got to realize,
so-
to begin with, his lawyers are going to stall this thing
Oh,
as
sure,
long as
right.
they
They're going to ask for a
possibly-
change of venue.
Your mic is
Yeah,
too hot.
yeah.
Your mic is too hot.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They might.
Well,
They might
even
be
though
able
it's
to
a
get it
Florida
scheduled,
problem.
quick.
Yeah, but the thing is that he's going to his lawyers are going to file one thing after another to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, I'm sure that any sort of trial for that will probably not be until like the late fall, probably early.
Well, my question is, do you think he has enough money to pay lawyers to handle this situation?
I would say that he probably really doesn't. I mean, I don't think he's got nearly the money.
Oh, he's going to get a public defender?
People think that.
That would be funny.
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting.
He's going to start a fundraiser, a GoFundMe thing, and people like Phil are going to send him $50 a month and to help keep him out of jail.
Would you send him money, Phil, to help with his defense?
No.
Okay. Well, then that goes for the rest of America too, who probably was pro-Trump, who now says, I've sent him enough money.
I think there's a lot of people out there that support him.
Yeah, there are quite a few American Nazis in this country, and they have money. Yeah,
I wouldn't think that. I wouldn't think it'd be till probably at least maybe like October, November, or whatever. So, I don't know. I mean,
Merry Christmas. We found you guilty.
maybe there's there's enough news this week. Maybe 60 Minutes will continue to ruin its reputation and spend half of its show interviewing a disgruntled member of the British royal family instead of reporting on the news. I don't know.
That's funny, Josh. Good.
I don't know. I thought that was the most ridiculous. That's the second time this year, apparently, they've devoted half of their program to interviewing.
Oh, no, you know what that was? Right now, they're in hiatus, and they're not
Yeah.
doing new shows, and that was simply rerunning the old one that they did.
Well, they mentioned some interview they had done with him in January as well. I don't know. I skipped that.
No, they said in their opening, as we reported in January.
Yeah.
That's what they do when they run these reruns. And
What's the deal
then, but if something really important happens, they run another story that's brand new.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Harry's visa? I guess they're trying to pull his visa to live in the States.
No, I didn't hear anything like that.
I read something about it.
Listen, we want him here. He's, that family's wealthy. What the hell? We can use his
Probably
money.
more money than Trump.
Yep.
You're on the government dole.
Well, anyway, there's the theme. I'm playing the theme. I have to tell you that because you can't hear it. But anyway, I want to thank Phil for being here tonight and helping me during the first half hour. Okay. I also want to thank our good friend Brian for being here tonight. Thank you, Brian. and give my best to, oh, there she is, to Adrian, who's in back of you. There, she's going to wave goodbye.
She graduated first grade today. She's
Yay.
Congratulations.
Give me your address. I'll send her some money.
Congratulations, Adrian.
Send me money. My daughter's going to college.
Okay, I'll send you some money too.
What about
Kevin.
me? I need money. Give me some money here. Everybody wants money.
I got
Come
too
on,
much
Alan.
money right now. So.
I need $4. you
Yeah,
know?
well, I don't need any, so don't
Good
don't
job,
send
Adrian.
any to
Keep
me.
it going.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
you
keep
won't
going.
refuse it if he sends it.
yeah, Adrian, you only got another 11 of them before you get to college. So, yeah, thank you so much for being with us this evening, Alan. Josh Wheeler, always good to have you here. Kevin.
Ducks.
Oh yeah, okay. And Tony, thank you. And of course Jeff Stein, thank you. Would everybody kind of give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Jack Bishop is next. He's going to have a citizen panel. Only with him you use Skype, and you use Skype, and it's Gabnet Live at Skype, okay? We'll see you again tomorrow night for the last show of the week. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Night, everybody.